All right, welcome everybody. My name is Wampus Among Us. This is the Ashes of Creation Academy, and I will be doing a lesson today on the commissions. So before I go over this, I'm going to go talk about pretty much what commissions are. So in the game, you have these tasks that you can do. They're on boards. There's three main types, and then there's a Mayoral Commissions. The three main types are pretty much similar, but we'll go over each of those. But these commissions are pretty much things that you would be doing anyway, like gathering trees or gathering granite or rubies or daffodils or anything like that, right? Catching fish. Also going out and killing grims or killing bears or killing wolves. So basically you're just going to get XP for doing the things that you would be doing anyway. So there's a great way to get XP. It's a great way to get some gear, possibly some good scrolls for XP, so things like that. So we're going to go over all that. We'll go over the loot tables and everything that's involved with that. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, also, this is version 1.0. I mentioned in the last lesson. If you guys haven't seen that, scroll down and there's a link to the previous lessons. I go over the gathering skills in the previous lesson, and the first lesson was just the general artisan system. At the end of this lesson, I'll go over the lesson plan. I have 19 lessons, I think, planned right now. And this is lesson 3, so we got a lot of ways to go. But yeah, so this is version 1.0. As this gets changed, you don't have to seen the previous one. They're all individual, but they kind of build on each other, so it helps, but it's not necessary. Because I do mention something I've seen in a previous one, but when you're done with this one, you can go see those other ones. They're on YouTube. So yeah, so this is version 1.0. As things change, and obviously this is in alpha or early access or what you want to call it, starting next week. As things change, I will come back in and I will redo these, right? This is a slideshow presentation. I don't show any in-game footage. All of this is basically me teaching you in a more of an academic setting than, showing you in the game and things like that, right? I'm an analyst by trade. Well, I was an analyst until I retired recently. So I like to analyze things, and then I just like to share the knowledge with you guys. So yeah, so the first one we're going to go over are the Artisan Commissions. It says Artisan Commissions, but it's really just gathering commissions. There's no processing or crafting commissions here. Now, if you do the new system called Destinies, they do have tasks for processing and they do have tasks for crafting. Destinies is going to be not the next lesson. I think it's the next lesson after that. No test at the end other than just your general knowledge. But if I didn't cover anything, let me know. So certainly, and again, this is an academic setting. So if you guys have questions about anything that I talk about, I don't make any sense, I try to think about the questions that you're going to answer, and I try to answer them somewhere in this for you. I've been playing ever since day 1 of phase 1, which was back in October of last year. I didn't play every day. For one, all the servers weren't up every day, but I put a lot of hours into it. This last phase that just ended last week or earlier this week, I was the mayor of Maryland on the server show, which is the current Alpha 2 server, or was the Alpha 2 server. There was only 6 of us that were mayors. If you've seen videos of people flying around on the flying mount, I was one of them. So I know a lot about the systems. And again, I just want to share that knowledge with a lot of new players, especially the ones that are coming in for early access. So welcome if you're an early access person. So anyways, Artisan Commissions, they're just gathering commissions, and we're going to go over what those look like. Then you have adventure commissions. Those are kind of like in 2 categories. You have your exploration ones, and then you have your combat ones, which is really going out and killing mobs and things like that. And then you have your hunting ones, which is only going out and killing mobs. Now, there's 5 gathering skills in the game. One of those gathering skills is hunting. This is not that. So that hunting and this hunting are 2 separate things. That hunting, the gathering skill, you will either get animals so you can turn them into mounts or beast of burden, which pulls the caravans and things like that. Or you get carcasses to use for leather working and tanning, right? And also cooking, because some of those will be used in cooking as well. But that's separate than what this hunting is. This hunting is basically just going out and killing things, really. So, and then the last one is Mayoral Commissions. Mayoral Commissions are a separate category. Those are, as the name suggests, are put up by the mayor, but we'll go over those in the end, and you'll see the differences between all of them. Again, the first 3 are pretty kind of the same, a little bit different, and Mayoral Commissions is totally different. All right, so I'm going to go over the different levels of settlements that we have in the game right now. The first level is 0. Basically, if when you spawn into the game next week on the 11th, everything's going to be at level 0. If you look on the map, you'll see these little shields around all the settlements or in the middle of the settlement, and it's going to have a tree on it. That just basically means it's not leveled up at all. It's a level 0. There's no artisan boards, there's no adventure boards, there's no hunting boards, and obviously there's no mayor board. But once the levels up to level 1, which is your crossroads, is what they call it, then you do get an adventure board. So then that's the first time that you can actually go out and start doing commissions. And then next level up after that is your encampment, or it's also called just a camp. I do believe there's an artisan board that shows up there on that one. There wasn't one on the PTR. There was a crossroads, so I was able to verify the adventure board, but I do believe that at level 2, a artisan board shows up at the encampment. And then of course, level 3 is when it's really, I mean, that's the first level where it's really an actual settlement. You get the artisan board, you get the adventure board, and you also get the hunting board. And then that's also the first time that you can have mayor commissions, but the mayor has to be elected first. So once the mayor is elected, if you go up to the board before the mayor's elected, it's just going to be blank. But after that, if the mayor's a good mayor, he will start putting up commissions. And I'll go over that, what that is, and how commissions are beneficial to the settlement. And then the last level is level 4. That's called your town level. And then there's 2 artisan boards in the town level, but still 1 adventure board, still 1 hunting board, and still 1 mayor board. Now, after level 4, there is going to be a level 5. It's not currently in the game yet, and I don't know how many boards are going to be. I would imagine there's going to probably be at least 2 of each. Maybe not the mayor board, but at least certainly 2 adventure and 2 hunting boards to go along with the 2 artisan boards. But again, that's yet to come. I don't even know of how soon we're going to get that. I imagine it's going to be months and months away. No, not all types of commissions do not contribute to your settlement reputation. And actually, none of them do. The only one that does is the mayor commission. And again, we're going to go over that at the end and how you can earn your citizen reputation. If you want to earn a lot of citizen reputation, you need to do buy orders. And buy orders is one of the next 3 or 4 lessons. But I am going to go over buy orders. All right, so we're going to go over artisan commissions first. If you haven't played in the game, Lionhold is one of the 2 starting areas in the Riverlands. The other starting area is Samaya's Hope, which is over on the east side of the gate that you come into the game at. But near Lionhold, there's also a little area called Avon's Inn. Over near Avon's Inn is where all your stations are, all your crafting and processing stations. If you played in previous, if you have played on the PTR or in Alpha 2 before, there was not all the stations were there, and there was no storage over there. There was storage in Lionhold, and there is still storage in Lionhold, but now they've added storage over in Avon's Inn and all the crafting stations. So I'll go over which ones are here. Across the river, there's the agricultural supply. There's also the laboratory, and that's also the crate stations. You'll hear a lot about crates in the game, and actually, when you get into the game next week, there is a little quest that you will have to run a crate. Crates are pretty important. If you go to the Ashes subreddit and just search for a crate guide, there's a crate guide that I wrote a couple of months ago. It's still valid. I know some things have changed and I'll have to update it. But again, I'll just use that for the lesson that I make on the crate system later on. But I'll wait a bit for that because while it's important, there's other things I need to get to first, like processing and crafting, which are pretty important as well. Also, the textile mill was always there, but now they've added a cookhouse to it. Then the smithy was always there. Now they've added a wood shop to it, and that's also where your storage is. And then the hide works, which is always there, but now they've added the stone works to it. So over in Lionhold, there was an artisan board that you would go to and then start getting some commissions off of there. A little extra XP right at the beginning of the game, especially as you're going out and start gathering things. But they basically have wiped that away. Wednesday afternoon was the first time in the whole since phase 1 and when we didn't have an artisan board there. The reason why they did that, they haven't come out and told us, but I believe the reason why they did that is because they need you to get out of that starting area. They don't want you coming back into it because you have all those people who are spawning into the game. They need to do their starter quests and things like that. Around Lionhold, they don't need you leaving and then coming back to check the artisan board and stuff like that. I imagine they're probably going to take the storage away from Lionhold as well, again, for that same reason. They just need to get people out of those areas and onto the other server workers. That way it's not so crowded and laggy and things like that in town. But yeah, so there's no more artisan board inside Lionhold. We'll talk about where they're at here in a second. Over near Samaya's Hope, again, Samaya's Hope is on the east side of the entry gate. North of Samaya Hold is a Briarmore Farm, and that's where their stations are at. So the Stoneworks is there, agricultural supply, and also storage is in Briarmore Farm proper. This whole area is called Briarmore Farm, but there's actually is a farm there, and that's where the agricultural supply and the storage is. There's also a laboratory there up on a little hill to the southeast of that. And then you have a smithy, which is up on a little hill northeast of that. And then there's a cookhouse over by the lake. And a hide works. Again, the hide work is for your leather and things like that. And then you got your wood shop and your crate packing station right there to the east of Briarmore Farm. So again, there was an artisan board down in Samaya's Hope, but just like in Lionhold, it's just not there anymore, right? And again, on the next slide, I'll start telling you where you can find these artisan boards. So this is a level 3 settlement. This is Mirliff. This was the settlement that I was mayor of in this last phase. So if you're looking at the market in a level 3 settlement, you're over on the left-hand side, you're going to see the equipment vendor, and that's where you're going to buy your reagents from, which is the things that you need to process and craft stuff. Just process, not craft, but just process stuff. He also has some equipment on there, as the name suggests. Right in the middle of the market, he's standing on those little crates. That's the marketplace manager. That's basically the player vendor. So that's where you can list your items for sale and stuff like that. So if you went out and gathered some things and now you want to sell them, that's where you'd sell them at there. I have a separate listing coming up on the marketplace manager and how to best utilize him. And then over on the right-hand side, that's the actual board. That's what it looks like. Like as I mentioned earlier, there's a second artisan board for level 4 settlements. If you're looking at the market, it's kind of like at your 7 o'clock, right? If you turn around to your 7 o'clock and look, that's what it's going to be. And that's what it looks like there. There's a building there that has like a bridge between the two parts of the building. And then the artisan board is right there. So that's the second one. Now, that's not there on a level 3 settlement. It's only there on the level 4 settlement. All the other ones, the level 3 and level 4, are going to be over by the marketplace. All right, so if you're looking at it, that's what it looks like there. You can't really read those papers. It's just a graphic on there. But you can tell it's the artisan one by the anvil that's on top of it, right? And then the cross hammers that are on the bottom. Also, right next to it is a drop box. I'll go over what that's used for, but pretty much that's just used for dropping off things. There's 2 types of commissions for the artisan board. Some are gathering and some are turn-in, and that's where you put the turn-in ones. All right, so this is what it looks like when you click on the artisan board. It's going to pop up a window, and that's what it's going to say. Basically, it has 8 commissions on here, and those commissions are the gathering ones. So you can see some of the harvest daffodils, mine slate, things like that, and we'll get into that. But I just want to go over every little part of this window so you'll understand what it is. Up in the top right corner is the timer. This refreshes every hour. So when it counts down to 0, it'll refresh. Now, if you're looking at it, it won't refresh. So you'll have to exit out and go back into it. But if you do get there and you're like, oh, I already have all these commissions and it's about to count down in another minute or two, wait, and then wait for it refresh. I believe there's 16 commissions that it rotates through here. 3 of those are apprentice, which we'll go over in a second, but all the rest of them are novice level. So as soon as you spawn in the game, you can do all the ones that show up on the artisan board, except for 3, the 3 apprentice ones. But as you level up to those, you can do those as well. Right next to it is a little tutorial icon. As soon as you click on this the very first time, it's going to show you 4 different little boxes and 4 little areas. It kind of explains it, what it is. But this is a new system that's in the game that wasn't in the game. So when you do anything in the game, you're going to get a lot of tutorials. And you can click on it to say, I don't want to see this anymore. But if you're a brand new player, I would suggest just reading those. It's like a 1-sentence thing. It just tells you what it is. This circle up here is the level of the actual commission. Generally, I think it goes from 3 or 4 all the way up to 10. And that's just the level that it is, right? It doesn't mean that the level 4 is easier than the level 6 and stuff like that. That's just the level. I don't know why they chose those numbers for those levels, but really it's all gathering. Like level 5 is fishing, and fishing is probably the most easiest thing because it's AFK. You basically cast it and you go walk away and they'll just catch fish. And until it times out, there's a 30-minute timeout for fishing. But if you come back in 20 minutes and move your character around and come back and fish again, then it can fish for another 30 minutes. So I don't think the levels really relate to anything. The only one that does is number 10. Number 10, if you see a 10 on here, that just means it's an apprentice level. So slate is an apprentice gatherable for mining. And then right below that, this is basically what type of commission it is. So if you roll your mouse over it, say you roll your mouse over the taking it for granted, it basically says a gathering commission. So for this one, all you got to do is gather granite. You don't need to turn granite in. So every time you mine granite, you'll get a 1. It'll say 1 of 20. You mine granite again, and another node, it'll say 2 of 20, etc., like that. And the other one is the turn-in one. So this one, it says mine copper from stone deposits throughout Vera. And it's a turning commission. So what that means is you have to mine the copper, but then you also have to go turn it in. The granite, you don't have to turn in. It just counts every time. So if you mine one, you'll get credit for it, and you can delete it, you'll still get credit for it. But for the copper, if you mine it and delete it, well, now you're back to 0 because you don't have it to turn in anymore. And then right below that, if you roll your mouse over it, you're going to get a little pop-up, and that's just basically what your reward is. You get these little reward chests, which we'll go over in a second, and then that one next to it is glint. If you don't know what glint is the in-game currency that's dropped by mobs. So they don't drop gold, they drop glint. And then once they drop glint, you collect it, and then you can turn that into gold through a number of different ways. The easiest way is to sell it to a vendor. But once you get gold, your gold cannot be taken from you. You can give it to somebody, but nobody can get it. If they kill you, they're not going to get any of your gold, but they can get your glint. So it's important that if you do get a lot of glint, go sell it or go put it in your storage, because if you die, you have the potential to lose half of it. And then this is the actual commission. So, I got to harvest daffodils, or I got to mine slate, I got to mine basalt, and etc., and all those things like that. This is the 3 I was talking about. Slate and tin are apprentice mining. So again, if you see one that says 10, the number 10, not 10, the metal. If you see one that says 10, then that basically means that that's going to be apprentice. In the early stages, don't choose any of those, because you can only have 30 of these. So if you have 30 and 3 of those are taken up by slate, tin, and salmon, why? Because you can't gather it. And so you might as well just drop those. That way you can place those with an adventure one or a hunting one or something like that until you get apprentice, right? Once you do get apprentice, then yeah, you can get these and turn into slate and turn in tin and turn in salmon. But right off the bat, you won't have that ability to, because you can't gather those items. And then once you select it, it says accepted. So these are all the ones that you accepted. And then also on your main GUI, generally, unless you move it around, in the top right corner is going to be your mini map. Right below that is this window, and that's called your tracker. It can track 10 of the quest or commissions or whatever you got going on. And also, you can put your destinies on here as well. And also, you can also track recipes. That's a new thing that's recent. I know a lot of people don't realize that, but you can also track recipes on here. So say if there was a recipe that you trying to gather materials for, you can pop it on here, and then it'll show at the bottom, like, these are the materials that you need to get for this recipe. If you see, they're in the same order that I select them. I went left to right on the first row and the second row. So bunches of bouquets, slate stacks, stony roads, taking it for granted, etc. And then over next to it, it says how many do I need to get? 20, 10, 20, 20, 20, 20. If I scroll down, there would be 2 more on there because I was able to select 8 on these, but you can't resize this window. That's just basically how big the window is. If you do collect 20 of something, 2 things are going to happen. First, you're going to get a little green check mark here, and then the side where it says bunches of bouquets, it says completed. It's only going to say completed there if you haven't turned that one in and you look at the same board that you just chose that one from, right? So say I had 49 minutes to go out and get these. So I went out and gathered 20 daffodils, and I came back, and if I come back and I look at the board, it's going to have a little green completed thing there, and then turned it in, then you can do it again. So you can just do that over and over again, the same commissions. If you click on any one of those, it's going to take you over to your journal. So if I clicked on bunches and bouquets, if I clicked on stony roads or in the arms of the arborist, it will take me immediately to your journal that has all these listed, and it would have that one highlighted. So say if I did click on bunches and bouquets, then it would go over to my journal. I could open it myself with J, but opened it for me, and then this is what the journal screen looks like. Up at the top, you have filters. That face icon is the quest icon. This is currently broken on the PTR. I'm assuming, hopefully it's fixed next week, but basically this is just a filter for you to say, hey, I only want to see my quest, or I only want to see my commissions. Right now, if you choose quest, even if you have quest, it doesn't show anything. I mean, if you choose commissions, it basically shows everything, including quest. So The filter is obviously broke, so hopefully that fixes. But honestly, I've never used that before because there's not so many that you just can't look down the list and see. And then right below that, notice it says Mirrorlith. That's where I got all these 8 from. And it also ranked them in order 4, 5, 6, and 10. Again, number 10 is Late Stacks, which is the apprentice level. But whichever one is highlighted is going to show over on the right-hand side. If you notice next to where it says bunches and bouquets, there's like a little eye. What that eye is telling me that particular commission is being tracked on the main page. If I wanted to see it or didn't want to see it, I clicked on here, it will show or not show on the main page. Also, if I went to another settlement and got other commissions, say I went to Jova or Winstead or New Ayla, and I got commission from them, then there would be a separate section on here that would say Jova or Winstead or wherever I got it from. All right, and again, this is what it says. Basically, it's to collect commission. Again, all I got to do is collect them. I don't have to turn them in. And then it says spring has brought a bounty, blah, 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 blah. Don't worry about that. It's just a bunch of fluff. What's really important is right under that where it says harvest daffodils from Riverlands Meadows. And then the task or commission is to get 20 of them. Up in the top right corner is a little map icon. That's not really used for commissions, but it is used for quests. So if you're lost and don't know what to do and you open up your map and you don't see anything on your map, then try clicking on this little map icon and see if it tells you where your next thing is that you need to do. But for commissions, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to point that out to you on the journal page. And then down in the bottom is the player rewards. So for this, you're going to get 3 commissioners caches, which we're going to go over in a second. And then you're going to get 1 dull glint. So the dim glint is the little pile, the white pile that you saw on the previous screen. It takes 10 of those to make 1 dull glint. And then 10 dull glints to make 1 something glint. It's basically, it's 10 and then 10 and then 10 and then goes up from there. Radiant or something, I don't remember. But if you roll your mouse over that little cache, they'll basically tell you what it is. This is called the Commissioner's Cache. And like I said, you do get 3 of these, but I'm going to go over what those are and what comes inside those. So right below that, it says complete commissions. This one is kind of grayed out, and it's grayed out because I can't complete it because I haven't done it yet, 0-20. But once I do get it, then it will highlight. Down in the bottom right corner is abandon. Self-explanatory. If I don't want to do that quest anymore, I'll just abandon it. And that untrack button is what I was talking about before with a little eyeball. You can either click on the untrack button to untrack it off your main tracker, or you can just click on the little eyeball. The little eyeball is easier because you can just go down and it's instant. You ain't got to click on that, then go back down there and click on that and go back down there. So just click the little eyeball if you want to track it. And then over in the bottom left corner, it says commissions 8 of 30. It shouldn't say commissions. It should say tasks because this is not just commissions. It's also quests. But anyways, it's 8 of 30. I could track 30 at a time. If I try to get another one, it just won't do anything. And then it says tracked 8 of 8. Like I said, I can track 10, but since I don't have 10 on here, I can only track 8, but that tells me how many that I'm currently tracking. So say I did go out and I did gather 20 daffodils. What's going to happen then? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to say 20 of 20 right there. And then it's also, I'm going to get a little check mark next to harvest daffodils because I completed that task. And then down at the bottom, now I can turn this commission in if I wanted to, and that's only this commission, not any other commission. If I wanted to turn in all my commissions, then I would go over there and click on all commissions. So even though I've only done 1 commission, it still says complete all commissions. So really those 2 buttons do the same thing if you've only done this one. But if you've done more than this one, complete all will obviously do all the other ones, but the complete commission under that bunches and bouquets is only going to do this 1 commission. But don't do individual ones, and I'll tell you at the end why you shouldn't do individual ones. You want to turn them all in together at the same time. So again, that little box right next to it is called the drop box. And that's for all your turning commissions. So in this one, I had a commission called Proven Metal, and that was to turn in copper. So if you notice, the add button is not highlighted. Again, kind of like the complete commissions was not highlighted, means I can't interact with that right now. As soon as I open up and I don't know what commission it is, this one's called Proven Metal. For some reason on the PTR right now, on the Alpha 2 server earlier this week and last week, if I roll my mouse over that little window, this little window would pop up and it would tell me possible materials copper. But I just tried that out today and I rolled my mouse over the little window next to delivery items and nothing's popping up. So you just have to remember that proven metal is copper. So again, that's the button right there. It's basically telling me I don't have anything to add. If I did have copper, it would be highlighted in blue and white like this. And then if I click on it, this window is going to open up. You'll see this window a lot where you move things from one window over to another part of that window. For this one, I need to move 20 down at the bottom where it says delivery items 020. So right now I have 23. The one on the right is common and the one on the left is uncommon. Uncommon is a higher rarity than common. So I want to get rid of the 7. So I would shift right click on that. If I just right click on one of the stack of 7, it would move one by one over there. But if I shift right click, hold down shift and hit right click, that moves that whole stack. So that leaves what? 13, right? 20 minus 7 is 13. So now I need to move 13 of the 16 over. Again, I could click it 13 times, or I could just shift right click, and it's not going to move all 16 over. It's only going to move 13 over. So which is what it did right here, right? So I moved the 7, shift right click, move the 7, and then I shift right clicked on the stack of 16, and it only moved 13 because it knew how many that it needed. So yep, I got 20 to 20. I would then click on submit. And then it will take me back to this screen. I got a check mark. The complete button is ready to go. Well, now it says edit, right? It doesn't say add. It says edit. So then if I wanted to edit it, I wanted to take some out or swap this out, I could do that if I wanted to. But I don't want to do that. I want to hit complete. When you hit complete, this is your final time to say, hey, you're about to turn these in. So when you're doing these commissions, rarity does not matter. You could turn in 20 legendaries or 20 common. Don't turn in 20 legendaries, right? Those are worth a lot of gold, especially as people get up into the apprentice level and the journeyman level. Those are usually used for making some very, very good jewelry. So the best in the game in the last phase. But yeah, so look at it. Oh, that's good. And then click on confirm. And then once you click on confirm, it goes away. And now I don't have any active delivery because I only had one. If I had another one, then it would move up to the top. And then that would be ready to go there. So that's the Dropbox. Once I do this, I must still complete the commission in the journal. So I have to go back to the journal and do that. So turning commissions is a 2-step process. You actually have to go to the Dropbox, turn those in, and then you have to go to the journal and complete the commission. Before this week, it didn't do that. Before this week, you didn't have to turn things in to the Dropbox. It will pull them out of your inventory. I lost... I don't remember. I think it was like 20 legendary rubies, 20 legendary zinc, and 20 legendary copper one time because I was on my way to another settlement to do some crafting. And then I was taking the legendary items over there. And like an idiot, I don't know why, but like an idiot, I opened up my journal and I said, oh, I can complete all commissions. And then I had 3 of those commissions in there, not really thinking. And then as soon as it did that, I saw it and I'm like, oh, geez. And then I opened my inventory and sure enough, it was gone and there's no getting it back. Once you do that, it's just gone. Thankfully, they took that out. So now you have to physically go there and say, yes, I want to turn in this copper. And if you turn in legendary, that's on you, or epic, that's on you. But at least you can't blame the game for that kind of mistake anymore. All right, so this is the commissioner's cash. Again, generally you're going to get 3 for every time you do a commission. It's broken down into 3 categories. You have a resources category, which is a 74% chance of getting something from that category. A materials and consumables category, which is 25%. And then you have a 1% chance of getting some armor. So for the resources category, again, that's a 74%. Of that, you have a 37% chance of the 74% chance of getting an XP scroll. These are excellent scrolls, very powerful, especially early in the game. I'll have them on the next screen. I'll explain to you what they do. And then you also get a chance to get some dull glint, some 5 of 10, which is about a 30% chance of getting some glint. And then also you get some script. A script is basically the node currency. Some people call them tickets because they look like a ticket in your inventory. But script is basically a way for you to buy things from a special vendor inside the settlement. So if you do mayor commissions inside the settlement, or if you do buy orders, you don't get them from normal commissions like these commissions, but you do from the mayor commissions, and they're used for buying special things. And they can be used in any settlement. So if you earn a bunch of script in, say, Maryland, you can go spend them somewhere else. They're not specific to any settlement. So this is what the scrolls look like. You have a commission scroll of adventuring experience, which is 25%, which is a huge bonus. If you craft a novice scroll of adventuring experience using basic materials, common materials, it's 5%. Now that one lasts for 3 hours and this one lasts for 5 minutes, but still that's a huge chunk. And there's a special thing that you're going to do with those. So if you do get any adventure experience, hang on to them. They're going to be super important, and I'll tell you why here in a second. And then you have some gathering ones and some processing ones and some crafting ones. The gathering ones, maybe not so much. You will get a little more experience gathering. But certainly the processing and the crafting ones are super important because that's just more extra XP that you're going to get when you're doing those things. Crafting doesn't take long at all, maybe 5 seconds. So if you processed a whole bunch of stuff and you're trying to level up, say, carpentry, right? And you spent like a day or two getting a whole bunch of processed wood. Well, now you can spend 5 minutes just crafting, and you can get a whole bunch of additional XP for that crafting, because crafting is hard to level up. Processing is easy to level up because all you got to do is hit the button and then walk away, and it'll just do it over time. But crafting, you have to have a whole bunch of processed materials that takes time and money to do, and also gathering that material as well. Anytime you get any of these scrolls, just hang on to them. They're going to be super important. So the second category is materials and consumables. These are basically the items that you can see on here: oak wood, ash wood, western larch, eastern hemlock, things like that. They're all uncommon rarities. And then down the bottom, you do get a chance to get a novice health solve, novice mana one, and then some rations as well. Rations also drop from the little goblins or whatever right outside the gate when you spawn into the game. So you can get rations easy. And then you can also buy these off of vendors. They're not really that expensive, but it's just another item that you can get from there. Over in the upper part, there's something called Draw Sienna. Draw Sienna is a gatherable, but it's not a Riverlands gatherable, so it really doesn't belong on this list, and I think that's a bug. I don't know if they've taken it out in the most recent one. And then the other one that's kind of weird is Salt. Salt is not a gatherable. Salt's a reagent, but for some reason they added Salt to this list when you can just buy Salt off the vendor. I don't know why they decided to put it as one of the drops in this category. And then the last category is armor. So basically you got a 0.1% chance of getting a common piece and a 0.01% chance of getting an uncommon piece. So yeah, don't try to get armor from these caches. I think in the whole time that I've done, I've maybe gotten 2 or 3 pieces of armor. And anyways, the pieces I don't believe are that great. I'll show you on the next slide some examples of them. But yeah, you can get a cloak, a vestment, treads, bindings, and things like that. Vestment is your chest. The grips is your gloves, the trousers obviously your pants, and then the tread is the boots for that. But there's a common version of this and an uncommon version of this, so really you got a chance of getting either one. And this is some of the items. I just chose the chest, the gloves, the pants, and the boots to just kind of give you an idea. If you look down the bottom, it really just takes like 7 grim skins and 1 daffodil thread to make the grips, which is the gloves, which isn't really anything at all. So even if you don't get any armor out of these caches, who cares, right? I mean, because they're so easy to craft that you can make them as well. All right, so we're going to move over to adventure commissions. Again, kind of the same thing. They do share the loot table with us, but with a little different. Again, Avon's Inn and Lionhold, there used to be an adventure board in Lionhold, but again, just like the Artisan Commission, it's not there anymore. But they did move one over in Avon's Inn, and it's right next to the smithy and wood storage. That wasn't there before, so they put one there. It was working earlier this week, but Wednesday, when they took out the other 2 boards, that one just kind of stopped working. It's still there. I still think it's going to be there. They just got to fix it so that it works properly. But if you do spawn into the game next week and you do run over there, and you will, because right next to this board is where you actually get all your gathering tools, your axe, your pickaxe, your sickle, your hunting bow, and your fishing pole, then you will see that there. As soon as you see it, get it, and then get all those quests. Because again, those are going to be things that you're going to be doing anyways, going out and hunting animals and stuff like that. Or if you're trying to mine something and a Grim attacks you, well, kill that Grim. And if you killed it and you have a commission for it, well, now you got credit for it, right? So again, you're going to do these things anyway, so you might as well get extra credit for it. And then over near Samaya's Hope, again, there used to be an adventure board there, but again, just like the artisan board, it's not there anymore. But up in Briarmoor Farm is where the adventure board is now. So if you go to Briarmoor Farm, there's a agricultural supply there, and the storage is there, and you'll see the board there. Kind of the same thing with Avon's Inn. It's broke. So, but in the level 3 settlement, the adventure board is going to be up by the town hall. That's what the town hall looks like, and it's just going to be right there. On the right side of it. That board over on the left side, that's the Mayoral Commission board, which we're going to go over in a bit. Also, I mentioned in the encampments, right? I couldn't take a picture of it because it's on the PTR, and you're not allowed to take pictures on the PTR. But I did go to an encampment today that did have the board there. So if you do see a little camp on one of the icons, that means it does have an adventure board. I would go there and get all those commissions and then go off and do whatever else you're going to do. But as soon as a settlement levels up to level 1, go get the adventure commissions, because that's going to be extra glint, extra XP, and things like that. And then this is another settlement here. For those of you who played, you might recognize that thing in the background, that tower. That's called the Tower of Coffers. So this is Winstead. Winstead is a level 4 settlement. It was in the last phase, and it probably will be in this phase. If you notice, this one it's a little bit different than it is on this one. Also, the doors are closed on this one. In the PTR, you actually go inside the building now to do some things. We couldn't do that in the past. All those people sitting out front are people that you talk to. Now they're people inside the building. So it's kind of neat. They've opened up the building so you actually go inside the building. But yeah, still to the right of the commission board. That's where the adventure board is. It's got a little sword sticking down to the top of it. Right next to it is also a drop box as well. Generally, you don't have gathering commissions for adventures. I think there is one, so that's why the drop box. But you can also drop off your gathering commissions here as well, your artisan commissions. So you don't have to go down to that drop box to drop it off. You can go to any drop box next to one of the commission boards. And this is what it looks like. There's a couple of different types of commissions. If you look, there's a little spyglass icon. Those are your explorer commissions. So basically that just means you just got to go there. Where it says locate Tour Lock in the Riverlands, reach the center of the Baineswood Cemetery, locate Dunnick's Dunk in the Riverlands. So if you find these places, all you have to do is just go there. You'll see the number on your map, and that number corresponds to your tracker. So if it's number 7, look for 7 on your map, go there, ride your mount over 7, and just keep going. And it'll say objective completed. You don't even have to get off. You'll just go to that area, and it'll automatically give you credit for it. All right. And then the little skull icon is your combat commissions. Basically, that just means you got to go there and kill something. Like it'll say hunt or cull or kill or whatever. It just means just go there and kill whatever mobs is there. I don't have it on here, but there is a gathering commission one, and it's the little crate like we saw on the artisan one. There is a gathering commission one here, but I just don't have it on the screenshot. So there are 3 types of adventure commissions: the exploring one, the combat one, and then the gathering one. Also, if you notice, this has colors on it, the green and the blue, and we didn't see that on the artisan board. All those colors mean is that that's the level of the reward that you're going to get. It doesn't correspond to the actual level of the commission. So the blue one is a level 8. The green one next to it is level 13. So really, that level 13 supposedly should be harder than number 8, but you'll get more rewards for doing the blue one, the level 8 one. So try to do the ones that are colored, because they'll give you the more XP, the more glint, and things like that. Okay, so now we're going to look at the hunting commissions, and then we'll go over the rewards, because hunting commissions and the adventure commissions, they share the same loot table. The artisan commissions, the commissions cache, that's only for those. But the hunting commissions and the adventure commissions, they share the same one. That building right there with the dragons on top, that's the hunting lodge. And of course, the hunting board is right outside the hunting lodge. So this is in Maryland, right inside the south gate. If you keep going down that road right there, you'll hit the marketplace manager, which is where I took the screenshot earlier. And the artisan board is up over on the right there. Probably like around my 8 o'clock position is the storage clerk for Maryland. There's only a couple of modes that have this layout. All the other settlements, the hunting lodge is as you're going up the hill to the town hall. So you go up the hill, you'll pass this building. It still has the dragons on top. So if you're looking for the hunting lodge, look at the rooftops and find the one with dragons. That's going to be the hunting lodge, and that's where the hunting commodity board is going to be outside of it. So this is what the hunting commissions look like. Kill wolves, thin wolves, coal spiders. All of them are just going to be the skull, because it's just a combat mission one. So there's no gathering ones on here. All you're going to do is just go out and kill things. But again, you're going to be doing that anyways, right? So yeah, so just get these commissions, and then as soon as you get one, turn it in. You don't have to go back to the board to turn it in. You'll turn it in from your journal. And the same thing with the levels and stuff like that. Again, it's pretty much the same thing as the adventure board, except there's no sightseeing ones or exploration ones, and there's no turn-in ones. It's all killing ones. So there's 4 different chests that you can get, and I'll go over each one. The Warren Riverlands Coffer, that's for level 9 commissions and below on the hunting and adventure ones. And for the Riverlands Traveler's Coffer, that's one for levels 10 and higher. So level 9 below will be the worn one. Level 10 and higher will be the not worn one. And then you also have the Warren Riverlands Mercenaries Coffer. and then the non-worn one, right? So it's kind of the same thing. 9 and below for the worn one, and the 10 and higher for the regular ones. On the PTR, the gathering commission that I mentioned, that one gathering commission, it did not show that you would get a chest for that. So if you do find a gathering commission on the adventure board, you won't get a chest for it, but the amount of glint that you got and the XP was way higher than you would normally get for any of those. So just click on it and see what the reward is, and see if you want to do it. Because again, you can always abandon these. It doesn't hurt you to abandon them. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to accept it. So if you accept a bunch of missions and you don't really know what it is, but then you go to the journal and he says, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Oh yeah, that's too high a level for me. I'll try to doing it. Like some of these exploration one will take you into a very congested area with a lot of high level mobs and you'll die. Okay, well then, yeah, abandon that commission because you're not gonna be able to do it unless you have a bunch of friends with you. Or until you get higher, but by then you could have just come back and got that commission at another time either way. So again, there's no harm in abandoning commissions. So for the one Riverlands Traveler's Coffer, you got a 75% chance of getting resources. Again, those same resources that we saw on the cash ones. And then kind of the same thing for the materials, consumables, and recipes, except you don't get the River Stalker set from the caches. You will just get recipes. And these recipes are for the Academic Aegis recipes, which is the Initiate Light Armor. And then the Riverlands Traveler's Coffer, same thing, resources 75%, materials, consumables, recipes is 25%. But these recipes, because it's a higher level, you get the Adept Light Armor. So Initiate is level 1 to level 9 pretty much armor. Adept is level 10 to level like 19 armor. So because this is a higher level coffer or higher level chest, then the recipe for it is going to be a higher level. You're not getting the armor on this one. You will on the next one, but on this one, you're only going to get the recipes. And on this one, you get the recipes and you get the armor, or you can. So you see under 24%, you can get the recipes for the Second Sword Division armor, or you can just get the armor itself. And then the same thing for the Riverlands Mercenaries Coffer, which is the non-worn one, if you want to call it that. You got recipes, and then armor is called the Halo-bound armor. The Second Sword Division armor, we'll go over in a bit. The recipe is pretty easy, but the Halo-bound armor, that's a pretty, I would say, hard recipe to make, but more resources. But the armor is also a lot better. And these are both heavy sets here. So there's all the items that you're going to get from the Second Sword Division, the breastplate, the boots, the bracers, blah, blah, blah. Again, same thing we went over with the River Stalkers. You got common, you got uncommon. If you got a chance to get one of those, 0.1% for the common and a 0.01% for the uncommon. And this is what it looks like. So let's say for the gloves again, like we would do gloves for the River Stalker, it's 5 zinc fragments, which is just 5 zinc, and then 1 basalt armor mold, which is really just 1 basalt and 1 processed piece of wood, any wood. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, so not hard to make. So if you didn't get that in a chest, but you had the recipe, then just make it. I mean, it just, and you probably make it better quality because these are all the common qualities. So again, 60 to 61 physical defense, 13 dexterity. And then some disable power as well. But if you notice where it says that second bar, it says heavy set bonus. If you wear 5 pieces of gear, then you get additional bonus on top of that. And this is the heavy set. If you look up the top where it says Second Sword Division pants or whatever, underneath that it says common heavy. It tells you that heavy armor. Heavy armor is your physical defense. Light armor is your magic defense. And your medium armor is half and half. So half physical and half magical. So if you only want to be protected from physical, then go heavy. If you only want to be protected from light, then go light. It's not like New World. Remember in New World, for those of you who played, it would affect your dodging and things like that. That's not the way it works here. Your armor class that you're doing really has to do with what type of damage you're going to take less of, mitigate. And then these are the different pieces that you get for the Halo Bound. Halo Bound does not have a cloak, so you'd get the Second Sword Division cloak on here because it's heavy as well. And again, the same percentages and things like that. And here's the recipes for it. So if you look, like say again for the gauntlets, which is the gloves, 36 zinc fragments and 7 basalt armor molds. So again, a lot more complicated recipe to make. It takes a lot of resources. But again, look at your physical defense right here. So if you did get one of these, this would probably be a good piece for you. I wouldn't specifically go out and try to get these again because you got such a low chance of getting it. You got a better chance of going out and getting 36 zinc fragments and making 7 basalt armor molds. And then the metal gauges, hands, that's a reagent that you would buy from the vendor. Do that. because that's going to be a lot easier and a lot faster to get than you would be trying to get a whole bunch of crates and try to get that 0.01% chance of getting this. So we're going to talk about Mayoral Commissions. So Mayoral Commissions, again, is at that board on the left-hand side when you go up to the town hall. And it can only be level 3, and a mayor has to have been elected, and that mayor would have to put them up. So again, as mayor, I would put these up, and in 48 hours, they would expire. If the citizens didn't do all 100, then the settlement did not get the buff. So what these do is these gives the settlement a settlement buff, and it really depends on what that commission is. On the next screen. So here's 2 commissions I had to put up. One was called War Preparations. That's just the name of it. It's not like I was preparing for war. That's just what it's called. And all it says is donate batches of 20 Tier 1 gatherable materials. Tier 1 is your novice. So basically go down and get 20 trees and bring it back. If you chop down 4 adult trees, each time you chop down an adult tree, that gives you 5 wood. Chop down 4 trees, come back and turn it in. And you would have gotten some XP and some glint and some other stuff. And the one on the right is the Claw and Fang, hunt bears, wolves, and Grim in the Riverlands. You can do this in conjunction with those other ones, the adventure ones, right? So you can double dip when it comes to these commissions. And then if you roll your mouse over that little chest icon next to where it says progress, that's going to tell you what the reward is. So if you want to know what the reward is, well, this is what the reward is. So if you were a citizen of Miralith, and if you see it says 0 over 100, that means I just put this up, and nobody's done it yet. But if this commission gets done 100 times, then citizens would get a 5% processing XP increase, and then the non-citizens would get a crafting and gathering one. Now, the citizens would get the crafting and gathering one as well. It's just the non-citizens wouldn't get that one. They would get those other 2. So, and you don't have to be a citizen to do these commissions. You can just go there and do the commissions. And you get other things besides that, which is this screen right here. So this is the same journal screen that we looked at before, but I want you to notice down there in player rewards, you do get glint for it, right? And you do get XP, but now you have these 2 little icons right here. One's a little windmill, and the other one looks like a ticket or a stack of cash. It says 500. That's the citizen reputation. So citizen reputation is basically how you're going to level up yourself within a settlement. These commissions right here, you'll get 500 citizen reputation for it. We also have ones that do 1,000, and we also have ones that do 250. So just choose all the mayoral commissions. It doesn't really matter, and go through here and look at the rewards and see if that's something that you want to do. If it says 250 and you think it's going to be too much work, then abandon it. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings, and it doesn't cost you anything to abandon it, just like it doesn't cost you anything to do it, right? Other than your time and resources of going out and doing that kind of stuff. And the script, the node currency, that's used for purchasing a lot of things. Probably the most important thing that it purchases is commodity certificates. If you get up to aristocrat, you can buy a legendary certificate. I think it costs like 30 script or something like that at that level. And then that's how you're going to take a high level crate from one settlement to another settlement, and you can make a lot of gold that way. So you do want to find a home, and hopefully you like the mayor there and you vote for the mayor. But you do want to level up your reputation there, because you also get buffs for reputation. I have a separate class on citizenship later on. I'll go over the whole citizenship thing and stuff like that. But you do want to find a home, because you get a lot more storage, you get buffs, and you get accesses to special vendors and things like that. But this is a good way to raise your citizen reputation by doing that. All right. So that's all the commission boards. Now, how do I maximize my XP when I'm doing these commissions? And this is how we're going to do that. First thing you're going to do is accept commissions. Just go to the board, accept all the commissions that you want to do. If it's fishing and you're not going to fish, then don't fish. Don't choose the fishing ones. If you're not apprentice, don't choose the apprentice ones. And if it's too high of a level for you, don't choose that one, because all you're going to do is fill up your 30 slots with things that you can't do or don't want to do. Then go out and do the commissions, do whatever that you have, but do not turn them in. Again, you have that complete all commissions. Don't hit that button. Just get check marks. All you want is a bunch of green check marks. Then you want to use that adventure XP scroll. Now, you will have to do some of these before you get the XP scroll. So I would do a commission and then turn it in, check those 3 crates and see if one of those is a Venturing XP scroll. If you didn't get an Adventure XP scroll, do another one, turn it in, see if you got an Adventure XP scroll. So do all those one by one until you get a Venturing XP scroll. Then don't turn any more in. Then go do a bunch of them, then turn them all in, and then you will get a whole bunch of XP all at once. I have shot up, I think, 2 levels at a time by doing that. So by basically doing a bunch of commissions and then turning all those commissions in at one time. When you turn in any commission, you get 2 types of XP. You get gathering XP for it, whatever gathering it was. So if you turn in a mining one, you get mining XP, and you also get venturing XP. Now you won't get a 25% bonus on your gathering XP unless you did the gathering XP scroll, which I wouldn't suggest you do, because really in the first part of the game, you really need to get levels, because you want to get to level 10. Once you get to level 10, it opens up a whole new class of armor and weapons and things like that. All kinds of stuff that you can do. So you want to get level 10 as quickly as possible. So don't turn in commissions using a gathering XP scroll, turn in commissions using the adventuring XP scroll, and then you'll get a whole bunch more XP. All right, so this is the lesson plan. We've already done the artisan skill lesson. That was the first lesson. Again, if you haven't seen that, it's on the YouTube channel. Scroll down, you'll see a link to previous lessons down there. It's not very long, but I do explain what all the artisan skills are. You have 22 artisan skills in the game. There's 5 gathering, there's 9 processing, and there's 8 crafting. I'm going to do a separate lesson on processing and a separate lesson on crafting as well. But the second one I did was gathering skills. I went over all the recipe changes. For you as a new player, this doesn't really matter to you because you didn't know what the old recipes were. Just to let you know, those old recipes were a bear. They were hard recipes to get. They were expensive and stuff like that. A lot of resources, but they really made it easy on us. But then I go over all that. But also good because there's additional ways that you can raise your gathering stats. You can raise your stats through clothing. You can raise your stats through scrolls. You can raise your stats through food. You can raise your stats through elixirs. There's also things called survey pylons. You can get higher rarities of your gathering tools. So it's still a good one to go watch. It's kind of long. It's like 49 minutes long, but I do go over a lot of stuff in there. And then this lesson right here is commissions, obviously, which we just did, right? So the next lesson is the rarity system. I touched briefly on lesson 2 on the rarity system. So there's 6 rarities in the game. You have common, uncommon, rare, heroic, epic, and legendary. I'm going to go over each one of these, and then I will tell you how you can calculate rarity yourself. So if you have, oh, I need to make this thing, and I have this rarity, and this rarity, and this rarity, and this rarity, what is my final rarity going to be? I'll tell you how to calculate that. It's super easy. I do it all the time. There are calculators out there. Ashes Codex is one that you can go to, and then you can say, oh, I have this rarity, this rarity. It'll just do the same calculation for you that I'm going to teach you. But after that is Destinies. Destiny is a new system in the game. I would do Destinies next, but Destinies is on the PTR and not on the live server. It doesn't matter because the live server is shut down anyways. But next week, as soon as we go live, I will go through and do a class on Destinies. Destinies is super important. Destinies is kind of like commissions. You don't want to turn Destinies in until you have a XP scroll, because Destinies do count towards adventuring XP, and the scroll does affect them as well. So what I would do then is do a whole bunch of Destinies, do a whole bunch of commissions, and then turn them all at the same time. Go through, turn in all your commissions, open up your Destiny screen, which is the L on the keyboard, hit accept on all those, and then you'll get a whole bunch of extra. It's free XP, right? So why not do it? You just leave it on the table if you don't use one of the scrolls. And I'll go over player and guild storage. I'll go over processing. That's going to be a long one. Again, there's 9 processing skills. I'll go over crafting. That's going to be a long one. There's 8 crafting skills. And also, when I'm doing processing and crafting, I'll talk about if you're leveling up that particular artisan skill, what's the best way to level it up? Which item has the best return on investment, right? So if I put X number of resources in and I get this much XP out, is that better than something else I could craft? And then also you have the XP scrolls that you would use on these as well to get more. Marketplace manager, I mentioned that before. That's the player vendor. Over on the next column, waterfall stats. If you go to Wikipedia, the Ashes Wiki, there is a article on there on the waterfall stats. Waterfall stats means when you get dexterity, you don't just get dexterity, you get all the stats underneath dexterity. And those are like, you get 3 of something, 2 of something, 1 of something in a bunch of different ways. So every point that you get in strength or every point that you get in intelligence and things like that, below that stat, that main stat, is a bunch of other stats that you also get points in just by each point in there. That's why it's called a waterfall, because it flows down like that. I'll go over citizenship, which I talked about before, how citizenship works, how do you become a citizen. If you want to be mayor, how do you become mayor? Good luck with that. There's only like 6 or 7 of us in the last Alpha 2 server. Buy orders. Buy orders are basically a way for mayor to build things in the settlement, and to build things in the settlement, commodity is needed, and commodity is basically are done by buy orders. So buy orders, and you get a ton of script with buy orders, because every time you do one buy order, you get 10 script for that. And that one commission that I'll tell you about is 12. And you can turn in multiple buy orders at the same time. You can only turn in that commission once. Do that commission, go back and do it again, turn in one. You can turn in a whole bunch of buy orders at the same time. So you could really get hundreds of script just in one fell swoop. All right, I'm going to do a class on treasure maps as well. In the first couple of phases, treasure maps were super important, because when we went mining, there was rubies and there was zinc and there was copper as nodes, but now they changed that to a proc system where you basically just have to go mine something and you get a chance of getting rubies or zinc or copper. And then there will be one on crates, caravans, and ships. Obviously, caravans and ships are a way to carry crates. So I will talk about crates, what crates are. And then there's a new system now in the game that will be next week called mules. We didn't have mules before. You would just carry the crate on your back. And like I mentioned before, there is a starter quest that teaches you how to carry a crate. And you'll see that it slows you down 50%. You can still sprint like that, but it slows you down a lot. But caravans and ships especially, because of the sport fishing. If you guys saw the live stream today that they did, if you didn't, it's going to be up on their Twitch, and it's also going to be up their YouTube, but I would go watch that. The sport fishing is pretty interesting. And then deconstructing, enchanting, and tempering. Deconstructing is basically taking an item, and that's a crafted item or an item that you got as a loot or something like that, like a sword or piece of armor and stuff like that, and deconstructing it basically to get it down to its raw materials. So if you pick up something is that, or I already have one of that, or that's way worse than what I have, then you can deconstruct it and get some raw materials for that. And enchanting and tempering is just a way to make an item better. So, and I'll go over that. POI, which is points of interest, I'll go over some in the game and talk about the levels of them and how to best level. I know it's number 16, and you're probably way past that point where you'll need that information. But again, this is for all the new people that are going to be playing the game later on, not just next week. Freeholds. What freeholds are these plots of land that you can own, and then you can do farming on it, and you can do crafting on it. They were in the game first couple of phases, but they took them out because they weren't really working as they wanted them to. So I say once re-implemented, because they're not in the game right now, but they are going to be a super important thing, and they're like a player-owned farm pretty much, and one person is going to own it. You'll be able to do some crafting and some farming on that one little piece of land. And then I'll talk about the lore. There's a lot of lore in the game. I know a lot of people don't care about lore. I do want to do a research on it, because I do think lore is important to understand why things are happening in the game. And that is it. So if you guys haven't done so, please follow on Twitch. Also subscribe on YouTube, and follow on YouTube as well. I try to stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 to 9, or until I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm going to go back over to the PTR and do some more testing and get ready for the next lesson. So have a good night, guys.